How are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a great day for Kennedy. We are very honored. We're very honored to be part of the Woodbury community.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you. So it's always a little reminiscent for me when I ride down the street here, because I tell my staff once in a while, many years ago, and I think John Campbell, you know this, I actually was a little guy who spent some time, I lived in Oak Valley. And my mother never drove, so she said, we're not going to stay here long, we're going to move back to Philadelphia. And but for me, I was fortunate because I was in the Quaker City String Band, and I stayed friends with George and Eddie Johnson, who lived in Oak Valley their whole lives. George went on to become a policeman at Deference, and Ed's now the fire inspector in Gloucester County. And so for me, Woodbury's sort of like home because I rode through it all the time. I used to hang out around here with my buddies, and I got to see this town for many years. So we're honored to be here, and me personally, it's a great journey for me to see Kennedy become a part of this community again. You know, healthcare is something that I think is vitally important to all the communities. And this, to me, is not always about competing with people who are in the other healthcare business. It's providing healthcare services for those who need it. You know, Walt Disney once said, if you could dream it, you could do it. And for him, the entire thing was about a mouse. Okay? The whole dream was about a mouse. But for us, it was about a big Italian guy named Mike Montecarlo. And I tell that story because I know Dr. Ciervo will speak about it a little bit, but I tell that story because I can remember when Dr. Ciervo and I, a couple years back, had to be 5 years ago, when Dr. Montecarlo was looking to make a change where he wasn't practicing. We talked about it. We says, you know, we have to have this guy in Gloucester County somewhere. He's a Gloucester County guy, grew up in Gloucester County. His family still lives in Gloucester County. So just from the family alone, we should have 100 patients. So the reality of it is, you know, we moved to West Deptford, and boy, and I'll let Carmen talk about it, in no time it's become such a vibrant practice for the members of the community, and that's what's important about it. I want to thank Dr. Montecarlo, and I know his entire staff. Thank you for all your great work, all the things you've done. So, you know, as Kennedy, one of the things we always think is important is the growth of primary care. We're very fortunate to be aligned with an osteopathic school where a lot of physicians train in primary care medicine. You know, as healthcare evolves, the one thing we know is going to be a constant. It doesn't matter what it's called in Washington. What it matters is what it's called locally. And what it's called locally is for us to make sure we're here for patients and for patients' families and to deliver the things they need to do. Because ultimately, patients are what we're all about. Our mission, Inspira's mission, Lord's mission, Virtua's mission is all to our communities. We're coming here because we know that this community feels vibrant about what we provide, and we want to be part of it. And that's why we think Woodbury is an important part of us. As we are Kennedy now, and I will tell you, even as I could speak from my future job, as we become Jefferson. Okay? This community is vitally important to the Jefferson organization, and it will be vitally important as we go forward. And that's why I think this day is a special day for us at Kennedy. So we thank you again for having us. Let me do a few introductions before I move on and talk about a few more things which are important to us. One is our board chairman of a system who's, honestly, he is the most 100% greatest advocate for the Kennedy Health Alliance, Mr. Al Smith. And I say that because Al has spent hours and hours and hours discussing Kennedy Health Alliance issues over the last 5 years. And our growth is significant because of his support, which I appreciate as well. Let me introduce some very important people from Woodbury. I'd like to introduce the mayor, and I know we're glad to have her here, Jessica Floyd. Mayor Floyd, thank you very much. Councilman Teddy Johnson, I know Teddy snuck from behind me. Where'd you go? There you go. Thanks, Teddy. He said, I just sat there because it looked like a good seat. I said, you're in a great spot. Also, David Swarson, is that how David pronounced your last name, Swanson? Councilman, thank you, David. I'm sorry, David, the writing is not perfect, but thank you. Councilman Carleen O'Connor, I met Carleen earlier, thank you very much. Chief Tom Ryan, I know Tom's here, thank you, Tom, thank you. Randy Warner from Woodbury Economic Development, thank you, Randy, for all your help, thank you so much. John Campbell, the Greater Woodbury Chamber of Commerce President. Thanks, John. And also one of our aligned mayors is John Bianco, Mayor of Clayton. Tom Bianco. I'm thinking of John Campbell and I'm saying Tom. John Campbell had me. I had John on my mind only because a month ago, 2 months ago, I was interviewed for the Dancing with the Stars.
And we're going to be on television.
Yeah, well, I was once a Dancing with the Stars person, as Dr. Monte Carlo was as well.
Right.
And John had me a little overwhelmed and nervous at the time. I think he was going to ask me to come back, and I was going to say I couldn't do it anymore. But that's another great bunch. But thanks, Tom, for being here. So, again, this is a great day. When the team came and said, we want to do something special in Woodbury, and we have an opportunity to be part of the Rite Aid, buy the Rite Aid building and to turn it into Kennedy Health Alliance, right away we wanted to look and see, we saw this as an opportunity for us. And again, this was an opportunity to expand the growth of services we're already providing in West Deptford, which is right around the corner, and is to bring a strong primary care practice and presence and gastroenterology, which will provide great services here. So as a Kennedy organization, I thank all those who've contributed to this. I want to thank the entire Kennedy Health Alliance staff for all the work they did to get us here. So give yourselves a round of applause. I thank you. I'd also like to thank our marketing department led by Lisa Marine and her team who always put these great events together. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Carmen Sierra. You know, when you're fortunate to have a great physician leader who works with you and has a great vision about what we want to try to accomplish as an organization, it makes my job much easier because, you know, there's a lot of things that are very complicated in the healthcare world today. But I know with Dr. Sierra, we're always doing the right things to grow the mission of Kennedy. And his dedication and commitment to the Kennedy Health Alliance since its inception has been remarkable. As a matter of fact, he's a person who truly believes in not only working with other people, but working in a collaborative way. Because again, as I said earlier, our initiative here is not to harm anybody in this community who have other health systems. Our mission here is to be able to provide opportunities for people to use Kennedy physicians who they'd like to see. And sometimes my colleagues don't always believe that I always say, listen, I want us all to be successful. But I do. Because the missions that we all provide are vital. And I want to introduce Dr. Sierra to say a few words because he is truly the inspirational leader of the Kennedy Health Alliance, although he has changed a lot of that role over to Dr. Webby, who will speak later day to day. But through Dr. Sierra's leadership over the last 5 years is why the Kennedy Health Alliance has become what it is today. So I want to introduce Carmen, and I thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So there is nothing more difficult than following Joe Devine after he speaks, because he's such an outstanding orator. But Joe, seriously, it's been the board and your vision has given us, all of us in this room, the ability to grow the Kennedy Health Alliance. And before I came here today, I drove over to the other office when we were recruiting Dr. Monte Carlo about 6 years ago, and I turned down Princeton Avenue, and I looked at that building that was, you know, sitting behind there, and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I said, how are people going to find this? But when I had this vision of providing access for primary care, and I had the discussion with Mike, I said, Mike, we're going to make this successful. You live in this community, and as Joe said, I knew we were going to get at least 100 patients to start. So I said, and then have your family, have your friends, talk to everybody, and you know what? The first week we started, what did we have, 5 patients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now when Princeton and now this office will see anywhere between 200 and 300 patients in a day. Really providing services that are really needed in this community. So the first access point that I looked at to really grow Kennedy Health Alliance was this community. And it's been so successful. So to kind of continue along with Joe's analogy with Mickey Mouse, Michael will be able to introduce some of the Mouseketeers that also are great physicians who and healthcare practitioners who I've had the great fortune of being able to work with and recruit into this practice. And I'm so proud of them, and I'd like to thank them and give them a round of applause as well. So before I introduce Dr. Monte Carlo, again, I want to thank Al and our board for believing in Kennedy Health Alliance and allowing us to grow in the communities that we're serving. And we're going to have a greater presence in Woodbury. Even from this, Randy was just saying to me, she goes, once we leave here, you're going out and looking at some other sites. So here we go. But Michael was the medical director. He was the start. He believed in this. And I'm so very proud of what we've been able to grow through his hard work and his dedication, as well as the other members of the team here, which again, he will introduce. So I'm going to end with this. And Joe and I have this friend of ours that each morning, most mornings anyway, will send us a quote of the day. And I'll tell you, it kind of sets the tone very often for your day. And what really impresses me about the team that takes care of people in this office is that they really care. And the quote is, "Attitudes are contagious. Make yours worth catching." And everyone in this office, the way they treat people, I would be very proud to catch their attitude and how they treat people.
Amen.
So, and amen to that. I could have said it better myself. Thank God you're there as my prompt. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Taylor, who's our Senior Medical Director of Primary Care. Dr. Taylor, I'm dating myself, but another one of the residents that I got to have the opportunity to work with and train. And now he's going to say a few words about KHA and introduce Dr. Monte Carlo and the team. So thank you all for being here, the opportunity. Joe, thank you for your visionary leadership of Kennedy. Joe is truly a servant leader. He talks about, Inspira and Lourdes and Cooper all playing a part in the access. But I have to say, Kennedy, we do it best.
Yes, and thank you for choosing Woodbury. We have a long history here, and this corner has always been a hub of our city. So we're glad that you're passing the torch, bringing this neglected area back to life. We have our new police station. We have some really gracious merchants that surround you that are welcoming you here. We just can't thank you enough for choosing here, and spread as much as you want. Reach out, and we just can't thank you enough for making us your home.
Thank you. I'm ready. I'm rolling. It's the count of 3.
1, 2.
Not yet, don't cut it yet.
Sticky, get that.